June 27, 2025, Kingston, Jamaica, National Stadium, the men's 100-meter final at the Jamaican Athletics Championships. Kishane Thompson settles into his blocks, the crowd buzzing with the particular electricity that only this stadium in this country can generate. And what happens over the next 9 3/4 seconds does not just win a domestic title. It sends a message to the entire sprint world that lands hardest in one specific place, the United States of America. Thompson crosses the line in 9.75 seconds, the sixth fastest 100-meter performance in the history of the human race, the fastest time in the world since 2015, a personal best by a margin significant enough to shift the entire conversation around who is actually the most dangerous man in the sport.
I'm never gonna be satisfied. I'm always gonna be that hungry. Yeah, it's more of the way I see things. I always gonna better my best.
And the response from the USA Sprint establishment, from Noah Lyles, from Fred Kerley, from the collective machine that produces more sub-10-second sprinters than any other nation on earth, is almost total public silence. No press conferences, no reactions, no acknowledgement that a 24-year-old from Jamaica just ran a time that none of them, not one, has ever matched in their careers. That silence is not confidence. That silence is the sound of a team that knows exactly what it is looking at and has decided that saying nothing is safer than saying something true. Before you understand what Kishane Thompson's 9.75 means for the sport, you need to understand where he came from, because the origin story makes the number even more unsettling. Thompson was so close to Olympic 100-meter gold in Paris that even the grateful recipient Noah Lyles initially thought his Jamaican rival had clinched it. But rewind further than Paris, and you find a sprinter who was virtually invisible to the international athletics community until 2023. He calls himself Clark Kent on Instagram because of his transformation into the Caribbean's fastest man, the mild-mannered alter ego who nobody noticed until the cape came off. He was scouted in 2019 by the brother of legendary MVP track club coach Stephen Francis, the same program that has produced Asafa Powell, Shelly Ann Fraser-Price, and Johan Blake. He did not arrive through a pipeline of international junior recognition or early global hype. He emerged from the most competitive domestic sprint environment on the planet, earned his place inside one of the most celebrated coaching setups in the sport's history, and built in near-total anonymity until the times made anonymity impossible. He first rose to prominence at the 2023 Jamaica National Championships, after running 9.91 seconds during the heats, before withdrawing from the rest of the championships as a precautionary measure. That is who Kishane Thompson was 2 years before he became the sixth fastest man in history, a name that even serious athletics followers were only beginning to learn. The runway from 9.91 in a heat to 9.75 in a championship final is not a gradual climb. It is an eruption. And eruptions of that magnitude inside a program like MVP do not arrive without years of invisible work that the scoreboard was not yet showing. The number 9.75 seconds requires context to be fully understood, because in isolation it is just a time. In context, it is an indictment. Only 5 men in history have ever run faster: Usain Bolt, Tyson Gay, Johan Blake, Asafa Powell, and Justin Gatlin. Every single one of those 5 men is either retired or past their competitive prime. The active sprint roster of the United States of America, the deepest, best resourced, most comprehensively developed sprint program across the planet, does not contain a single athlete whose personal best matches what Kishane Thompson ran in Kingston on June 27, 2025. Noah Lyles, the reigning Olympic champion, the man who has built an entire public persona around being the fastest man alive, has a personal best of 9.784 seconds. Thompson's 9.75 is faster. Fred Kerley, the 2022 world champion, has a personal best of 9.76 seconds. Thompson's 9.75 is faster. Christian Coleman, the 2019 world champion, has a personal best of 9.76 seconds. Thompson's 9.75 is faster. Trayvon Bromell, Brandon Hicklin, Ronnie Baker. The depth of the American roster is real and it is formidable, but depth is a collective measure, and the 100 meters is an individual event. What Jamaica produced on June 27, 2025 was not a depth argument. It was a ceiling argument. And the ceiling Jamaica just demonstrated is higher than anything the United States has reached in the current generation of the sport. The counter-argument from American sprint fans and analysts arrives reliably, and it always sounds the same: depth. The United States produces more sub-10-second sprinters than any other nation. More Americans run fast than Jamaicans. The relay pool is deeper, the collegiate system is broader, the overall infrastructure is unmatched. All of that is true. The USA's unmatched depth underscores a system built not just on talent, but on relentless consistency and breadth. But here's the problem with the depth argument when applied to the individual 100 meters. meters. Depth wins relay medals. It wins team points at international meetings. It populates Diamond League start lists. It does not change the fundamental reality of what happens when one man runs faster than every other active competitor on Earth. The 100-meter final at a World Championship or an Olympic Games does not reward the nation with the most sub-10 performers. It rewards the individual who crosses the line first. And right now, the individual ceiling of Jamaican sprinting, represented by Thompson at 9.75 and Oblique Seville at 9.77, sits above the individual ceiling of every active American sprinter. That is not a depth conversation. That is a very specific, very uncomfortable fact that the depth argument exists to avoid confronting directly. What makes the Thompson situation even more complex, and what should genuinely concern the USA sprint establishment, is the dynamic that exists within Jamaica itself. At the 2025 Jamaican Championships, Thompson ran 9.75 and won. Oblique Seville finished second in 9.83 and Akeem Blake third in 9.88. Three Jamaicans on the same start line, the slowest of whom ran 9.88 seconds. Then Seville goes to Tokyo 6 weeks later and wins the World Championship in 9.77, with Thompson finishing outside the medals entirely. The internal hierarchy of Jamaican sprinting is so compressed, so competitive, so relentlessly self-challenging that two men whose personal bests are faster than any American has ever run are pushing each other to performances that the rest of the world is watching from a distance. Jamaica is not choosing between Thompson and Seville as its best hope. It has both. Jamaica's stance in the 100-meter dash is propelled through the brilliance of Kishane Thompson and the world's fastest man tag held by Oblique Seville. Two men, two different threat profiles, both faster on paper than anything the United States has produced in this generation. The American sprint team does not face one Jamaican problem. It faces two, simultaneously. In 2026, Thompson has continued to demonstrate that the 9.75 was not an outlier. It was a signal of what his body is now capable of consistently producing under the right conditions. On April 4th, 2026, Thompson ran 150 meters in 14.92 seconds in Florida, the fastest any man has run the 150 meter on a circular track since Great Britain's Linford Christie covered the distance in 14.97 seconds in 1994, a 32-year-old world best, a time that Usain Bolt never bettered during his illustrious career. Thompson was absent from the 2026 Jamaican Championships, where Seville ran 9.82 for the 2026 world lead. Kishane Thompson was left out of the automatic qualification list for the 2026 World Athletics Ultimate Championships in Budapest, because the qualification criteria rewarded championship gold medals rather than world-leading times, and Thompson's silver in Paris and semifinal exit in Tokyo left him outside that bracket. The consequence is a Budapest field that may not include the sixth fastest man in history. The consequence for the United States is that the man who nearly beat Noah Lyles in Paris by running 9.79 has since run 9.75 and broken a 32-year-old world best. Whatever happens in Budapest, Thompson remains the single most dangerous active sprinter the USA has not yet had to fully reckon with on a championship stage. Here's the verdict, stated without embellishment. Noah Lyles won the Paris Olympic 100-meter gold medal by 0.005 seconds over a man who 11 months later ran 9.75 seconds. Faster than Lyles has ever run, faster than any active American has ever run. The sixth fastest performance in the history of the sport. Thompson's coach Stephen Francis said that based on what he saw in the final, if Thompson had maintained the speed he had between 40 and 60 meters, he probably would have run 9.60 or 9.70. The coach of the sixth fastest man alive believes his athlete has a 9.60 in him. For reference, the world record is 9.58. The USA sprint team has not publicly engaged with what any of that arithmetic means. Jamaica has produced two active sprinters, Thompson at 9.75 and Seville at 9.77, whose personal bests are faster than every American currently competing. The island has a population of 3 million people. The United States has a population of 335 million. And the fastest active sprint nation on the planet right now, measured by individual personal bests, is 3 million people strong and based in the Caribbean. That is not a narrative. That is not Jamaican pride speaking. That is the record book, the photo finish, and the stopwatch. Three things that do not have a stake in the outcome and do not stay silent when the numbers are this loud.